Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books published and done to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. This is a series of spotlights on remarkable exit planning advisors from across the country. Joining me on this segment is Jayne McQuillan, the founder of Journey Consulting. Jayne, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mark. Glad to be here.
Jayne, tell us a little bit about your work and tell us specifically, who are the types of clients that you specialize in helping?
Yeah, absolutely. So Journey Consulting was founded 15 years ago for the purpose of really helping business owners strategically grow value in their business. So we work with family-owned, privately held business, anywhere from about 3 million in revenue to about 30 million is our typical client. But as with most consultants, we have some on either side of that. But for the most part, that is our target market. As far as industry goes, we're really pretty agnostic in industry, but focus on business to business, not necessarily business to consumer.
So business owners and entrepreneurs, they're great at their craft. Growth is what they think about daily. But how much time do they put into exiting and planning to exit? Do they really even know where to start or what it means?
Yeah, I would say the majority do none of that planning, right? So they're focused on that. And the others too is a lot of business owners don't really spend the time, as with many of us, thinking about, not being in their business, what happens next. Not a lot of us like to talk about death and money for the most part. And that's one of the key aspects of that. So business owners are not focused on that. They don't even know where to start is usually part of the problem. Or it's overwhelming because they may talk to their CPA, they may talk to their wealth advisor, an attorney may have a conversation, but it's so complex sometimes to them that they just don't even know where to start to make it a simplified process.
So before we talk about where to start exactly, tell us what are, I've read a statistic that as much as 80% of businesses that go on the market end up not even selling. I don't know if that's a cause of not planning, but can you tell us kind of some more of the pitfalls or the reasons what could happen if you don't plan?
Yeah. A lot of pitfalls. So one of the biggest reasons for businesses not selling is unrealistic expectations of business value. I would say the majority of business owners have not had any kind of valuation done on their business. So therefore, they don't know what it's worth. And a lot of them will, value it based on blood, sweat, and tears, right? I put a lot of time and energy into this business, so it must be worth a lot more in terms of that. So that's one of the biggest reasons. The other is they haven't planned for what's next. So their identity is, absorbed pretty much in their business. They haven't looked at what am I running to, not what am I running from in terms of that next chapter. And so that letting go becomes a real problem. And many business owners will get to the table and decide last minute, I'm not going to pull the trigger.
So with that said, Jayne, let's unpack this a little bit. Tell us where should they start, and also tell us the role of the exit planning advisor and how you step in and help these business owners.
Absolutely. I think the first step for business owners is just to get some education on understanding what is exit planning. I think one of the key things that makes it so scary is, they look at it from a confidentiality standpoint, and I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to do that. So the first step is just even getting some education. I know one of the things that we do is put on some educational seminars on just educating them on the process of exit planning, what it really means to position themselves. To get started though, reach out to a certified exit planning advisor and start the process. So one of the things that we do for business owners is we have them do just an initial assessment of just a real simple, even 5-10 minute of where are you at? What are you thinking? And from there, have a conversation about what those next steps could be for them to both maximize value, position them personally and financially for that exit. But the biggest challenge for any business owners is to just take that first step.
Great insight. Jayne, what inspired you specifically to get into this field and help business owners with their exit? How did you get started?
Yeah, so I actually started, like I said, about 15 years ago. My background, I'm a CPA by education training. I'm not a tax accountant, so don't ask me for tax advice. But I worked in privately held and family-owned businesses from the get-go. I actually worked at what was Price Waterhouse a number of years ago, and my clients were all privately held at that point in time. And I found I had a huge passion for business. And one of my, as I call it, my last real jobs, I was in a family-owned business that was 100+ old family-owned business. And I was actually doing some organizational development consulting with another consulting firm. And I was working with a client that was family owned, had two families in it, but the business itself was struggling immensely. In fact, they were an $8 million business, losing $1 million on the bottom line. And in one of our sessions, and this was an organizational development consulting session, I had pulled the owner aside and said, this is great that we're helping you with this, but if you don't have a business tomorrow, it really doesn't matter. And long story short, that really is what launched Jayne Consulting, to focus not just on the business, but on the personal side of things, to really help not only business owners be successful, but to set up their businesses and their employees for future success. And I've, through that process, has been just impactful all the way across the board. It's very rewarding.
Jayne, before I ask you my last question, is there anything that I didn't think to ask you that you feel is important to share with business owners considering exiting now or in the near future?
Yeah. One of the key things is start early. And look at this as how do you really focus on continuing to build value within your business? Not so much on, I need to exit a year from now or 2 years from now. The real goal of exit planning is to position you and your business to exit regardless of timing, because we unfortunately don't have that crystal ball and can't always determine on our own terms when that time is. But boy, if your business is ready and you're personally ready for that, you have choices. And we want to set business owners up to have choices.
Sage advice. Jayne, for business owners listening who would like to speak with you, how can they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Absolutely. So we are at journeyconsult.com. And also you can reach me at my email address as well at jMcQuillan@journeyconsult.com or at our office at 920-770-4141.
Jayne, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thanks so much, Mark. I appreciate the opportunity. Have a great day.
That was Jayne McQuillan, founder of Jayne Consulting. And this segment was brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.